Welcome to Classical Grooming. Today I wanted to spend a little time talking about fragrances from the House of Caron. Caron is a French niche fragrance house. I guess the difference between niche and designer is designer makes fragrances and clothes and other accessories, where the niche fragrance market is just about fragrances. So this, in my view, Caron is a much higher quality than a lot of the fragrances that I talk about, and the prices are reflective. They run anywhere from $40 to $60 for a 2.5 to 3.5 ounce bottle, which honestly is pretty inexpensive compared to some of the other stuff we see. But for me, that tends to be kind of the limit of my personal budget for fragrances. So first, let's talk about the flagship. Please excuse my French, it's not good. Pour un homme de Caron. So this is the flagship of their male fragrances. I'm afraid I can't speak to any of their female ones because I don't have experience with them. But this is classy. Lavender, musk, tonka bean, vanilla, I'm not sure which. And that's pretty much it. There might be some other stuff in there, but when you wear this, you smell clean and dapper. For me, honestly, it's almost too good to wear. I've worn this to weddings and to funerals and to family reunions, but I don't wear it on a day-to-day basis because it's just too formal for much of anything else. That's not to take away. I'm sure there are some people out there who could wear it for a daily fragrance, but I tend to save this for something special. Next up is the flanker to that. It's Pour un homme de Caron l'eau, the water. I think this actually might be discontinued because I haven't seen too many bottles of it around. I bought a tester. Always, if you can, always get a sample before you buy anything. And this is a much more casual version of the original. It has a little bit of lime in there. They use some more modern fragrance chemicals to give it that sort of ambery experience that you get from so many modern fragrances, and this can be worn on a day-to-day basis. I don't care for it. I mean, I like it because it reminds me of the original, but on its own, it's again, there are some chemicals used for a lot of modern perfumery which I don't like, and I couldn't tell you what they were, but this has got it. But for those of you who kind of like that more modern amberiness, the modern sweetness that a lot of these things have, you might like this. And again, if it wasn't for my certain biases, I could wear this on a day-to-day basis. It's like the sport version of the Pour un homme de Caron, although they may actually have a sport version. So it's a nice flanker for those that care. Now we're on to the third man, or again, pardon my French, Le Tercer Homme de Caron. This is really nice. It is sweet, but not too sweet. Sandalwood, florals, a little musk, and something that reminds me of bay leaf. So there's some spiciness to it. And I think this could, even though it's the third man, I think this could swing you unisex, maybe. But it is pleasant. This is what I wear to church on Sundays, because it's not particularly sexy, it's not particularly clean or fresh or anything like that. It's just nice. It's very attractive and welcoming as a fragrance. Here we have Royal Bain de Caron. I think this might be discontinued, but you can still find it out there. And what it originally was something you added to the bath back in the 30s, I think is when this came out. It's kind of an older version of Ginete, a bath splash, which I think is also now kind of vintage, comparatively speaking. But you add this to the bath and you'd soak in there and you'd kind of pick it up, and it was it's quite an experience added to bath water, but I think it's moved from just a bath splash to more of a perfume or cologne. It's not going to be for everyone. It is super old school, and I think it really does smell better when applied to wet skin. Something about the water really brings out a lot of the oils so they shine. Floral, resinous, vanilla. Caron seems to love their vanillas, and I think they use it in just about everything they make that I've tried, with a few exceptions. So I like it, but I don't wear it very often because I know people will find it just a little too old school, even for me. But when I'm just tooling around the house or I'm going shopping and I don't care what people think, I'll slip some on, and it lasts. All of these last for a surprisingly long time given the price. Anywhere from 6 to 10 hours depending on your skin and the heat. Let's talk now about Yuzu Man. I touched on this a little bit when I talked about summer fragrances, and Yuzu Man shines in the summer. I've tried it in the winter. You get the citrus burst off of it, and then it kind of disappears. It's not very strong, but in the summertime when the heat's out, man, it shines. You get citrus and you get a musk that really works when it's hot, which I'm thinking that doesn't happen too often, but it does for this. So I'm not sure if I'm going to buy it. I mean, 50 bucks again for me on a fragrance is high end, but if I was looking for something that was sophisticated and really I wanted to be kind of my daily summer fragrance, and I could afford the $50 bottle a month or however much you use, I'd get it, because it's really mature, sophisticated, summery, and if you are a man that likes to come off with that sense of dapperness and style during the summer, it's going to work for you. Then let's talk about my last experience with one of the fragrances from Caron, Yatagan. Yatagan is something. A lot of people are going to hate it with a passion. I am not one of those people. It is extremely masculine. It is extremely green with kind of an earthy musk underneath. I've been told that when it was first developed, it had kind of a cannabis odor to it. I think that's changed, at least so says the grapevine, but it's still very green and grab you by the nose hair and pull while patting you on the back at the same time. I think what really stands out for people is the celery note. Yes, it has a strong celery odor to it that I think works and works well, but I wouldn't wear it to the office. I might wear this out with somebody that I already have some history with, because first impressions with Yatagan might be harsh, just because it can be, in its own way, a little harsh to people who aren't used to the kind of acrid, I don't want to use that word because I'm making it sound bad. It's not. It's just challenging. It doesn't want to stand in the background. It wants to stand up in front and center with whomever's wearing it and really kind of make a statement. There's actually an aftershave by Masterwell called Challenge, which I'm almost positive is a clone or a dupe of Yatagan, and I think that's well named. So if you're willing to take a chance, take Yatagan for a spin. Now there are other Caron fragrances. I'm afraid I don't have any experience with them. I don't have any experience at all with the feminine line of fragrances. If you or your wife does and you have anything you want to suggest to me, maybe for a future review, I'd love to hear more. I'm also interested in finding more of their discontinued fragrances, but again, that's difficult because they're already expensive, and I'm sure if they're discontinued, they're going to be harder to find. Thank you so much for stopping by Classical Grooming. If you enjoy reviews of classical grooming products or modern grooming products through a classical lens, please subscribe.